It's a bit odd that the Samsung's foldable line now has slightly better CPUs than its S22 flagship line. But such is the world of silicon and smartphone timing. We are happy that the Galaxy Z Fold 4 has the Qualcomm's top-of-the-line Snapdragon 8 Plus Generation 1 CPU, as it needs all the power it can get given the multitasking gymnastics it's capable of. Geekbench 5 benchmarks bear out the new CPU's somewhat snappier performance compared to the 8th generation one. It's not a huge difference, but it feels to us that the phone's ability to edit 8K 60 FPS video at once in Adobe Premiere Rush speaks to that kick, and it doesn't hurt that the Samsung has backed up the chip with 12 GB of RAM. The raw numbers still don't beat Apple's A15 Bionic, but that's immaterial. There's more than enough power on tap here for all your cover and main screen tests. Samsung does an excellent job of integrating its key One UI feature and apps into full experience, while still keeping this out of the way of the stock Android Google apps you really want. But we are particularly impressed with the effortless handoff between the cover screen and the main flexible display. The phone swaps screens instantly, so you can move the same app between the main and cover displays without waiting for it to reload. It can work like a normal phone with the cover screen, a tablet with the main screen, or something in between if you fold the screen to a 90-degree angle. The Galaxy Z Fold 4 knows if it's bent at a 90-degree angle, and if you are in an app like Word, puts the split keyboard on the bottom half of the display. It's not a perfect experience since the tapping in the crease is best avoided, but it works. It's not unlike using a very small Android laptop. The app dock not only lets you drag and drop apps and keep ones you use often in the dock, but it can remember app groups and let you instantly access and reopen them with a tap. Very smart. The Galaxy Z Fold 4 supports Samsung's S Pen, but not just any S Pen. When we tested the S22 Ultra S Pen and tapped it on the screen, the Z Fold 4 recognized it instantly, but then popped up a rather scary message that said you can only use S Pen specifically designed for the Z Fold screen. We did not have one of those lying around to test with. We spent a very busy day with Galaxy Z Fold 4, doing everything from video conference calls to word processing, playing games, editing video, watching Netflix shows, and sometimes doing all of these things at once. We also watched as the battery life drained, perhaps a little faster than expected. At 4400 mAh, this isn't a tiny battery, but it does have to do the work of powering two screens, though not simultaneously. The battery lasted approximately 13 hours, which is pretty good, though we would have liked to have seen more. Still, getting that far is probably a testament to the 8 Plus Generation 1's power management capabilities. The phone supports fast, wired and wireless charging, and at one point we added back 30% of power in just 15 minutes using a Samsung 65-watt grand charger, which is not included. The phone can also perform wireless power sharing duties. However, I could only get that to work with the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro case and not with the Galaxy S22. Let's not forget that this is a 5G phone. Our model was running on T-Mobile's network in the US, which has the pretty good 5G coverage, but the speed was as you would expect all over the map. Still, it was good enough to stream HD quality Netflix on my train ride home. Is it possible that we have reached the age of refinement in the foldable phone story? With the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, Samsung apparently hasn't tried to reinvent the genre or radically alter the foldable's design and display. Instead, this latest Galaxy Z device brings a number of small but welcome design enhancements over the Z Fold 3, plus a new processor and upgraded camera array. All of this adds up to a handset that's lighter and thinner than its predecessor and generally even better equipped to serve as a traditional 6.2-inch Android 12 handset that just happens to pack an expensive flexible 7.6-inch display inside. This is a do-everything device that presents few compromises. Yes, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is, when folded, noticeably thicker than your average smartphone. It's nearly double the thickness of the Samsung Galaxy S22. And the cover screen is a little narrower than the displays on most Android handsets, but these are small prices to pay for a phone that's productivity friendly while being able to slip easily into a pocket when folded. Samsung has really leaned into productivity possibilities via an update to its One UI software. Now, in addition to supporting multiple apps simultaneously, up to 4 at a time on screen, including one floating window, you have a new customizable app dock at the bottom of the screen from which you can drag out apps to launch them. It even supports S Pen input, but more on that, yes, but with a big caveat detailer later. The cameras are excellent and familiar, with Samsung essentially borrowing the Samsung Galaxy S22's camera array and slapping it on the back of the Galaxy Z Fold 4. Do we wish that $1,799 handset came with the absolute best camera technology Samsung has to offer? Of course, but we don't think many people will miss the 10x zoom or 100x space zoom options. Power-wise, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 features the best mobile CPU Qualcomm currently has to offer, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Generation 1, backed by 12MB of RAM. This chip isn't quite powerful as Apple's A15 Bionic, but Qualcomm is closing the gap, and based on our testing, the chip has all the power you need for most typical tasks and enough headroom for more CPU-intensive ones like editing 8K video streams. This is also an Apple gaming device and a real pleasure to use when it comes to a good Netflix binge. It's an attractive handset both when it's closed and you are looking at the cover screen, and when unfold into its larger tablet mode. Because the hinge is less prominent than on the Z Fold 3, you can also fool yourself into believing that this is just another non-folding handset. Sure, the crease on the inside screen is still visible, and you will feel it when swiping your fingers along the display, but again, these are fair trade-offs for having a folding glass screen. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, feel free to share it to friends and keep watching Best Buy to get your top-notch day-to-day commodities.